Good day. We continue our journey through the prologue of Isaiah. The prologue is the first 5 chapters of Isaiah that sort of gives us an introduction to many of the themes, and we find ourselves in Isaiah 3 and 4. Now, the reason why we group 3 and 4 together is because of the continuation of certain themes. The end of chapter 3 speaks to the women of Zion, the women of Jerusalem, and they are full of filth. Their pride is being judged by God. And in chapter 4, that theme of the women being cleansed and washed from their filth continues. So that's there's a reason why we group Isaiah 3 and 4 together. There are certain verbal themes that continue, so it's not just randomly. Most people do think that they belong together. So let's have a look at how we can evaluate and analyze Isaiah 3 and 4. What is very clear from the book of Isaiah here is that the Lord acts. The Lord is having a look at the current state of the nation of Judah and what is happening in the city of Jerusalem. And what he's doing is he's taking away things and then he's giving it back in chapter 4. He's giving something else back. So let's have a look at what the Lord Almighty is doing. And we can obviously learn a whole lot about his character here. So first of all, he's taking away something from Jerusalem and from Judah. First of all, he takes away their supply and their support, their food and their water. And we'll see what the reason for that is in a minute. The other things, so food and water obviously is their basic life supplies, their basic needs. But then he also carries on and says what he's taking away are all their leaders, heroes, warriors, judges, prophets, diviners and elders, the captains, the men of rank, counselors, skilled craftsmen, and clever enchanters. All of these things are what makes their society work. It's the leadership that gives them all kinds of stability. So if you take away the food, the water, and leadership on all kinds of level, you have taken away their stability, their security, because that is what they clearly what they have put their hope and trust in, instead of trusting in the Lord, who announces himself not just as Lord, but the Lord Almighty, also translated as the Lord of armies. So he's supposed to be the one that they put their trust in for security, but they have put it in their own wealth of supplies of food and water, but also their own leadership has taken the place. And now God is saying he's taking that away. So just to reiterate, he's taking away 2 main things: food and water and leadership. Now this will become a reality for them. It is not just something that is that Isaiah is foreseeing, for the here and the now, but it will actually happen in Isaiah's lifetime when the Assyrians, when King Sennacherib comes down, surrounds Jerusalem, and takes all of these. He will limit their supplies for food and water, but eventually the Babylonians will come and they will march everybody out in exile. So let's have a look. Verse 3 to 7, we group them together because verses 1, 2, and 3 tells us what God is taking away, and then 4 to 7 is the result of that. What will happen because of that? I will make youths their officials. Why? Because the men of rank has been taken away. And children will rule them. Most probably that is not actual children, but mere immature people, people who don't necessarily have the right leadership skills, and it will create chaos. So God will take away their security, their stability. And the rest of those verses, 5, 6, and 7, describes the kind of chaos that there will be. Another thing that we're going to mark in blue this time is the root cause of this. Now, we see what God is doing in the first 7 chapters or verses, but here we see why he's doing it. What is the root cause? Verse 8 says, their words and deeds are against the Lord, defying his glorious presence. And verse 9, they parade their sin. They, like Sodom, they do not hide it. They become very proud of their own sinfulness. This is the root cause for why God is taking away their security. So then God leaves them with a choice. Just like the Old Testament curses and promises and blessings in Deuteronomy, you can either be righteous and it'll go well with you, or in verse 11 it says, if you are wicked, then disaster will fall on you. And these are exactly just the repetitions. And this is the job of the prophet, is to remind them of the covenant relationship that they have with God. It's not necessarily always looking forward, telling the future, but it is simply a reminder of who they're supposed to, or what they're supposed to have in front of them, the covenant, and what their relationship with God really entails. So here, further on, is a further explanation of some of the root causes. What is Judah and Israel doing? They are oppressing the people. They lead people astray. That's why the leaders are taken away, because they oppress people and they lead people astray. And they plunder the poor. That is why we'll see in a minute why the women are so rich. The women that are being spoken about in the second section of this passage. They have crushed his people, and note that God said, it is my people. He loves them. He loves his people, and he can't stand to see what the crooked leaders are doing to them. So the poor are being plundered, they are being crushed, their faces are being ground down. And that's why leadership, and this is why God is going to take action. That's why he takes away, but this time he doesn't take away, he takes his place in court, and he's going to be the judge of the people. He enters into judgment. So these are further root causes of why God has taken away their stability and their security. In verse 16, again, the Lord will act. And again, this time he will also take away. If you look in verse 18, he will snatch away. Now the focus here, why it's a new section, the first section talks mainly about leadership. He will take away their leadership, but now he is going to move his attention to the women of Zion. Now these women are most likely the women of the leaders. Okay, they are the wives of the heroes and the warriors and the judges and the prophets. God will snatch away something from them as well. And what are they going to be snatched away from? It says there, he's going to give them sores. He's going to make their scalps bald. Instead of fragrance, he will give them stench. Instead of sashes, ropes. Instead of beauty, branding or shame. So what he's taking away is their beauty. He's taking away their beauty because it makes them haughty. Now the word haughty means blatantly arrogant or arrogantly superior. And God hates the proud. as we see in 1 Timothy, where it is described that the angel, Satan himself, became Satan because of pride. It's what made an angel into a devil. So this is something that God hates. He hates the proud. And these women have become proud because of they are flirting, and because of the riches that they have gotten by crushing the poor. So another thing that they will do, that will be done to them, down in verse 25, is that their men will fall. As we see in the first section, God will take them away, the men of rank, the captains. They will fall in battle, and this will leave them destitute. These women will be without any defense from the enemies, and eventually so many of their men will perish that they will be destitute, they will be disgraced, in the sense that there will be the number of men to women will be 1 to 7. 7 women for every 1 man left in Jerusalem, which means that in an honor shame culture where women's is disgraced, if she doesn't have a husband, she's destitute. The man will bring her honor if he marries her. They're like the Redeemer we find in Boaz. He rescued her, and here they are absolutely disgraced. They have nowhere to go. They smell. They look ugly, and they have no one to marry. They have no one to take their name and give them honor in that culture. So the verse 16 up until 4 verse 1 focuses on the women. God takes away their beauty and their pride. And the reason he does that, the root cause, is because they are so proud. So the question here is, what is God's aim at taking away these things? He's taking away their leadership. He's taking away their beauty. What is God's aim for taking away these things? And it is to cleanse them and to restore them. He doesn't just do it because he's nasty or because he's powerful. No, he has a real heart for them. He wants them to be cleansed and restored. His original plan for them. How is he going to do that? Not just by taking away, but by giving back. And what is he giving back? First of all, he's giving back the branch of the Lord. Now, the branch of the Lord, throughout almost all of the prophets, refers to the Messiah. So first of all, God gives his only son. That's the biggest gift he will ever give. And the fruit of the son will be beautiful and glorious compared to the ugliness of the woman after they have been destitute and disgraced. God will restore their beauty via the branch, via the Savior. And another thing that he will give them in chapter 4 verse 3 is holiness through the work of Jesus Christ on the cross. The fruit of the land will be that we can be called holy through the work of the branch. He will wash away the filth of the woman. Again, the woman in chapter 3 verse 16 to 4 verse 1. They were filthy with their pride, and God will wash that away, cleanse their blood stains through 2 things: the spirit of judgment and spirit of fire. Now, this little phrase here, spirit of judgment, spirit of fire, is very difficult to actually translate. Commentators differ on what those 2 phrases mean. Some say, like Calvin, that really that should be a capital spirit, and that is the Spirit of God doing it. It is his work to purify and to judge. Other people say they see more the Spirit as the wind, because the word spirit and wind in Hebrew is the same thing. It's more of a wind that is a hot sort of desert wind that's searing away the filth. That's another interpretation. And lastly, people say that the Spirit there is a little bit more abstract. It's more like when you talk about the Spirit of truth, or there's a spirit of confusion. It's a process. The spirit of judgment, a spirit of fire, is more a process of judgment and a process of fire. But nevertheless, God will use judgment as he has already done. He will use fire, whether that be the Babylonians or whether that be through his Holy Spirit convicting them. They will be cleansed. They will be purified. And that all is a good thing. All right. Then in verse 5, the Lord will create. Not only will God take away and give the branch, the Messiah, and give holiness and give purity, he will also create. And this is a wonderful part of this chapter, something that he will create in future, in totality. He will create a canopy, he will create shelter, a shade, refuge, a hiding place from the storm. And this is the future heaven. This is the future reality when he comes again in his glory. Not only will he cleanse us, but he will create a dwelling place for us, which God will give us a Messiah and an everlasting dwelling place. I hope you see that God is taking away for a reason, so that we can give or return back to him as our security, and that we can glorify him in the beauty of his work, the beauty of the Messiah. And eventually, through trusting in the Messiah, through trusting in Jesus Christ, we will be cleansed, we'll be holy, but more than that, we will have an everlasting dwelling place with him, and he will return our security by the place that we're going to live in. That canopy is his glory that will cover us, that we will never be insecure again. And that is something to look forward to. God really wants to dwell again with us in his glory. And that is something to look forward to.